Welcome once again, South Florida, to Let's Talk Safe Money with Len Strickler. He's one of the co-founders of the LS Financial Group. I am your host, Spike Spangle, Mr. Len Strickler. What's on your mind this week, buddy?
Good to see you again, Spike. Huh?
Great to see you in person. They let us out of the radio booth for a little bit here, so we're glad to be doing this show.
Yeah, I think today, what's really on my mind today is longevity. One of the things that we've got to really help retirees do and help them get off the table is how do we handle this thing of longevity, because we're all living longer. Right?
Yeah.
Medical advances, and just amazing. So we got to handle it.
Yeah, it's strange that they call that a risk today, longevity risk.
Yeah, right.
But is it the outliving of our funds? Is it watching the markets go up and down and how they can change our accounts, or it's a little bit of everything out there, the worry?
It's actually a little bit of everything, because think about longevity. Of all the risks that we have, longevity is a multiplier of all those risks, right? You just talked about the market, right? Being volatile, up and down. Well, the longer we live, the more we got to worry about that, don't we, right? Same thing with all the other risks that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, longevity is a multiplier of all those other risks.
Right. And so we've got a 1 hour long radio program that you let me be a part of every single week.
Well, thank you. We love having you.
So many things that we talk about on the program. One of them we're going to talk about in longevity. This was such a weird report that we both read, was that the amount of recessions that you might actually go through in retirement, because we're talking about whether we're in one or a light one or a small one right now, but that we might actually see 2 or 3 throughout retirement. How do you talk to folks about being careful about how much up and down there is in the markets in retirement?
Well, again, one of the things we like to do, Spike, is we want to be able to help folks with a comprehensive plan, right? I mean, one of the things we do is say, look, let's take a look at what you want to do and customize that plan for you. But you're right, the things that are happening in the recessions that they may go through, we've got to make sure we get some of that money in a safe place, right? So the principal, we don't lose their principal, right? They're always going to have their money there in some portion of what we build. But we have to look at everything and build a customized plan for folks to be able to help them ride out those recessions.
Right. And I think you've said this before, and especially from your live events as well that you do with Art,
right?
And Eric as well, which we're going to we're going to introduce him in upcoming shows. We're looking forward to that part. We'll explain more of that expansion in later programs. But I think what you've said from these live events, that people are coming in and their number one concern is essentially running out of money.
Correct. That's correct.
So that's a mixture of both the longevity, recession. Do I have enough? Len, how do you determine if somebody saved enough?
Well, that's a good question. I always like to tell stories. You know me, Spike. I'm a storyteller, right? And I call this the desert story, right? A couple guys and I, 4 of us, we were in Vegas, right? Going to, roll the dice and have some fun. But we wanted to take a ride out into the desert. It's like, well, who wants to do that? Well, we wanted to see what it was like in the desert, right? So the 4 of us get a van, right? We jump in this van, and we're taking off. Man, we're going to go in the desert, right? And I mean, it's just the desert, miles and miles. And so we're going along, and we're having the music's on. We're, having a great time. And all of a sudden, one of the guys looks down at the gas tank and says, guys, we only have a quarter tank of gas left. Oh, my God. We start panicking, right? And so the air conditioner goes down. We're trying to consume gas. And another buddy said, well, guys, I got worse news. I just saw a sign that says the next fuel gas station is 100 miles. We're not going to make it. There's no way we're going to make it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we didn't. We ran out of gas. We ran out of gas. Thank God.
Well, the end of the story is I know things must have been okay because you're sitting here right now. But how did you get the gas?
Actually, the road rangers that go up and down, right? Thank God one of them within 20 minutes or so came by and was able to pull us out of that ditch, right, and get us some gas.
Yeah, but not everybody has that emergency solution.
That's right. The point of that story is that, do you have enough money, folks, to go the distance, right? That's what we got to be able to help you do that. All right, one of the ways that we do that, by the way, to answer your question, is we have what we call an income analyzer. Now, I have my partner, Art, the master chef. You always say...
The financial master chef. I want to make sure people don't think this is a cooking show the whole time. So you say the master chef, the financial master chef.
He's the financial master chef. He's my partner. He loves it. I always say in our workshops, I love doing what I'm doing here. This is great. I love people. I like to go out and work with folks. And Art, not so much. And then I said, no, I'm kidding. He's a great guy. He's a peach of a guy. But look, Art does his thing behind the scenes, and he loves doing it. He's been doing it 33 years. And so he's the guy who does our planning, puts together all the, the work that we're going to do with our client, this income analyzer that I'm talking about. Well, that's one of the tools that we use to see if your money's going to go the distance. So what the financial master chef does is he'll take what you want, what's your goal in retirement, and then he'll take into account inflation. We got to take that into account, especially today. He'll take into account taxes. I mean, how many of you out there, folks, think taxes are going to go down? Raise your hand. No. Folks, they're not going to go down, right? And they're going to come after the middle class, which they always do. So now you got to worry about taxes. We have to put that in that plan. And so what he does when he does that and puts it into software that he uses, we will come up with, are you going to make it? Are there areas that are red that you've run out of money? Mm-hmm. And if there's areas there, we got to figure out if we got to maybe move some things, we got to reposition assets, whatever. We got to do some things, and that's where he comes in, and we come in and share with you exactly.
I got to be honest, if I can be sitting in the viewer's chair, meaning the couch at home right now, somebody going, all right, so there's probably a cost to this, or there's normally a cost to this. I know that you run this at no cost. How in the world do you and Art do that? How can you do this without charging folks?
Well, I mean, it's part of our philosophy, right? I mean, we could charge for this. We know advisors that get, 900, that. Matter of fact, Art had just a true story. He was working with a gentleman, and the gentleman actually sent him the letter from this particular advisor, $4,000 to do a comprehensive plan. And Art we got the best software out there, okay? Mm-hmm. It's going to be a really comprehensive plan. But folks, we do that for no charge. We just feel our philosophy is, look, if we can give back to you folks and help you folks, then it's going to come back to us, okay? We just believe in that. I believe in karma. I believe in what you put out is going to come back. Yeah. And so that's what we're about. Okay?
Right,
and we're not a big box company. We're not a Raymond James or a Merlin, whatever. We're a small little boutique company. It's family kind of oriented, and that's how we like to roll.
Right, right. Len, we got to take a short break right now. Folks, what we like to do is offer you the income analyzer. There's no cost to it. What we're going to do is take a look at what you're investing in right now. What is the income you're going to need, not just this year, but 5 years, 10 years, 15, maybe 20 years down the road as well, and make sure that your money is going to last. And there's no cost to that for our television viewers. Call the phone number you see right here, or you can use the QR code on the bottom of the screen over here. Open up your smart camera phone, or to the camera function on there, point it at the QR code and click on it. It'll take you right over to the website. More of Let's Talk Safe Money with Len Strickler when we get back right after this.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Safe Money with Len Strickler of the LS Financial Group. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. Today we're talking about longevity in retirement, and that's a great thing. But there can also be some pitfalls. And obviously the biggest concern is running out of money in retirement. But maybe you could give me a little of what we like to say on the radio show, a little rubber meets the road. You have maybe an example of a family you've helped out?
Actually, I do. Just recently, about, I guess maybe a month ago, we had, I'll just say Bob and Betty. But they came in, and Betty was actually 15 years younger than Bob, right? Okay. And so
this is common, a little bit of an age difference.
Yeah,
you know, a little bit of age.
It happens a lot today. Yeah. And so, but he was worried that, and he wasn't in the best of health, but he was worried that she was going to run out of money. They lived a nice lifestyle, okay, and he had accumulated quite a bit of funds. Now, those funds that he had, he couldn't touch those funds yet until he passed away, right? So, but he did have some other monies, okay, that he said, look, I want you guys to be able to tell me if she's going to be able to go the distance? Will she run out of money? You know, we're talking about longevity. Is there enough money here for her to go the distance, right? To at least say 100, right? And that's how Art does the planning. So that's basically what we talked about a little earlier when we did the analyzer, income analyzer.
Sure.
And we were able to go ahead and put that together for him and be able to show that, matter of fact, even though with all his funds, because we took in all of his funds, even though we couldn't touch them yet, but Art took all that into consideration when he did the planning.
Yeah.
And she was going to run out of money at about 87, 88, right? So, but by shifting a few things, right, we did a couple things we can talk about later. We did what we call Roth conversion. We were able to take some of that money and move it over into a Roth where it's tax-free, okay, when she takes it out. So it's a beautiful thing. And we were able to make some moves and some changes that they are really happy.
Yeah.
And he said to Betty, Betty, listen, when I pass, okay, you're coming here to Art and Len. They're going to have all the data. They got all the information. Your first call is you call these guys.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a neat thing when you have clients
when you've got somebody
that.
who can, yeah,
that
so,
trust you like that.
And so it almost kind of sounds like leveraging your own savings in a way, because the money was going to run out. Basically, if you were just pulling it out of the account and using $4,000, $5,000, whatever the amount was every single month. So how are you able to stretch it out without adding to those funds?
Well, again, what we did was we were able to do, you know, what we call Roth conversion, right? So we took some of that money that was in the middle bucket. We got 3 buckets, right? Your taxable bucket, which is where you get your 1099 from the government, right? Every year you're going to have to pay. You get the tax deferred bucket is where you have your 401ks, and that's where he had quite a bit of the money. And then, of course, you got a tax-free bucket, right? Most folks don't understand that what we want to do is get you over into that tax-free bucket, because when you're over there, it's tax-free. It's a beautiful thing, right?
Right. Well, that tax-free bucket, that's also my Social Security, right? My Social Security is tax-free?
Well, actually, we take into account it's called provisional income. That's a whole nother story.
That's a whole other show?
But we do have to take that into account, okay? But again, when we do the analysis, Art has, again, some software that will show and take you through, you know, exactly what's going to happen with that, you know, with that money. And so we were able to make some shifts and some changes for her, and it was able to stretch that money out for her, right? And again, the only 2 things go in that tax-free bucket, Spike. Believe it or not, it's anything Roth and life insurance. But life insurance is different. We flip it upside down, all right? There's an IRS code there that allows you to take so much money and put it through in term insurance. We buy term insurance, very small death benefit. The rest of that money goes into an account, into a kind of it's kind of like a fixed indexed annuity kind of thing, and it grows. So you're allowed to let that thing grow inside that life insurance policy. And then when you take it out, it's tax-free. Not only that, it's tax-free to your heirs. So it's really a beautiful thing, you know.
So far you've talked about life insurance, and then you've talked about tax planning. The LS Financial Group, Len, to me, it sounds like you're starting to take a lot more of a holistic approach to planning.
We are, absolutely. And in a few other shows you and I are going to discuss, right? We have now made some moves to hire someone to come in, a younger, I call him my young superstar. But Eric Brown's coming in to join us.
Wait a second. I used to be your young superstar. I'm no longer am I the middle-aged superstar for you? That's fine, Len. That's fine. No, you're growing the team.
We're growing
That's awesome.
the team.
That's fantastic.
We're growing the team.
And doing a more holistic approach.
Right.
Now, you don't necessarily, though, file tax returns. You're not necessarily doing the life insurance, but or do you quarterback all of this?
We do. We actually do. We actually have a CPA. It's one of our co-founders, 𝗀𝗄𝗏. She's on board with us. She's a CFP and a CPA. She's been doing it 25 years. She's awesome. So yeah, we'll help in any of the tax work. You know, her and Art will work closely together. But yeah, we actually do all that work, even estate planning.
In-house.
In-house.
Estate planning.
Well, it's again, we have a team, right? I mean, you know, we're not attorneys or we're not, CPAs or accountants, but we do have a team around us that we trust and believe in. We also have a lady, Barbara, that Art's been using for 20-some years, who does estate planning. She'll come into some of our workshops, and she'll, talk about estate planning and whatnot. But no, that's all part of the the whole holistic package that we're working toward.
I do know this is something that folks can just find on your website, and we're doing the television program right now, but it's hard for people to ask you a question through their TV. You do live events. You do all kinds of live events. You've been doing all throughout the year.
Yeah.
You'll continue to do them throughout the end of this year?
We have 2 coming up in September, okay? We got 2 of them coming at the end of September. We've got 2 more in October, and then we'll do 1 more in November. And you can get those on our website, right? What is that website again, Spike?
The lssafemoney.com, lssafemoney.com, because we say it every single week on the radio show.
They also can get my new book. We haven't talked about that.
That's right. That's right. You know what? Let's save the book until after the commercial break. I want to make sure that people come back. We want to be really excited about this. But as we talk about the pitfalls in retirement, there's also a phrase you've been using. I'd like the television viewers to hear it as well. The paradigm shift. What is the paradigm shift to you in retirement?
Well, you know, again, I tell stories, right? So when in my workshops, I'll say, folks, let me ask you a question. If you were going to go climb Mount Everest, what's the goal? Most people say, get to the top.
Yeah.
And I'll say, yeah, that's a good goal, but folks, we got to get back down this mountain safely. Where do you think most people die in climbing Mount Everest?
Well, from what I've read, I think on the way down.
On the way down, on the way down. And there's a lot of risk coming down. See, here's the thing. When you're going up that mountain, you're in the accumulation stage, right? You're young, you're putting money in. And it's a great thing. You care about the return of your investment, right? You want a nice return on your investment, which is great.
And I want to see it
we
grow.
always do.
Sure. You know, during those accumulations.
And if you have some market downturns, you're going to be all right because you're still putting money in, right? Now, when you're in retirement, you're not putting money in anymore. You're taking money out. So when you get to the top of that mountain, Spike, the number one thing now is distribution. All of a sudden it changes. You want a return of your money. Now you need income. So we got to figure out, coming down that mountain, the risk that we have coming down, we have got to address those risks. And most folks don't think about that. As a matter of fact, most financial advisors are trained in the accumulation stage to keep that money in the market, right? They don't understand the distribution phase coming down that mountain.
And just like the name of the show here, Let's Talk Safe Money, that's what you do, is you help. You've talked about this, kind of a zero is your hero, that kind of, what exactly does that mean? What is that about?
Well, that basically, you know, I use the word that you sometimes.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it this early. Are you going to say it?
Annuities.
Annuities. Yeah. Okay. Well, a lot of people think it's a bad word, but is it?
No, it's not. Matter of fact, folks, annuities aren't bad. But there are some bad annuities, and there are some folks that have the wrong design, all right? Art and I do not do variable annuities because it puts you right back in the market, at least for the portion of your money we're trying to keep it safe, right? So the thing about annuities, it's called a fixed index annuity. There's also fixed annuities, right, where it's just like a CD. You're going to get 5.4% on a 5-year CD, right? A lot of folks are moving into that kind of, you know, maneuver now. But there's also these indexes, fixed index annuities. You're not in the market. You're not even in the index. You're credited based on what that index does. Okay, so if the index does, you know, 10%, right? They're going to tell you they're going to give you 100%. All right, that's called your participation rate. So the fixed index annuities are a beautiful thing if they're designed properly, right? So there is where you can start to, you know, get some money, make some money, but keep it safe. We say zero is your hero because the only way you can go with a fixed index annuity is up or sideways.
Right. And what you've also said is this is possibly only a portion of your savings. And that's why your approach is holistic now. Len, we got to take a very short break. Folks, watch the message following this break right here about retirement planning strategies that Len can provide for you. But call the phone number right here so we can get you your own complimentary review. We'll take a look at your investments, taxes, if you haven't turned on Social Security, how to maximize that, even helping you out with those Medicare choices.
You're right.
Which you have somebody in the office who helps out with that. We can talk about that when we get back. But call the phone number you see right here so you can get your own complimentary retirement review from the team here at Let's Talk Safe Money and the LS Financial Group. More with Len Strickler right after this.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. birthday party for Carol and 5. Happy birthday to you.
Good morning, Ben. Happy Monday.
Daryl's birthday, be there or be square. Happy birthday to you. You can see from our quarterly report on slide number 62, we're trending in the right direction. All signs point to a very positive outlook for the next several years. If you peel back the onion...
Ben, do you have anything to add?
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Safe Money with Len Strickler. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. Every single week we talk about retirement planning solutions for you, South Florida. Today we're talking about longevity. And before I get to I've got a great question for you. How do we know how much we need before we jump into retirement? But before I do that, I had mentioned it before, your brand new book, The Way of the Financial Warrior. We've had it out for a few months right now.
Right.
But folks, if you call the phone number at the bottom of the screen here, if you make an appointment and come in, not only will Len give you a complimentary copy of his book, but he'll high kick for you right there in the office, right?
Yeah, nice setup. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, okay, all right. Maybe a low kick?
Maybe a low kick.
No, but it's about defensive strategies in retirement, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So call and get your own complimentary copy of the book when you come in for an appointment. But how do we know that number? How do you know that number? How does Art, yourself, your new person, Eric, how do you determine how much is enough for somebody to retire?
Well, again, when they come in to see us, Spike, what we do is the first meeting that when they come in, we just want to get to know the individual, right? And then we want to be able to do diagnosis. It's kind of like a doctor. If I tried to give you a prognosis, I always say in my workshops, imagine going to the doctor and the doctor says, oh my God, get in the ambulance quick, call an ambulance for Spike. You're going, what are you talking about? You haven't even checked me out. You haven't done anything. There's some normative data here, like take my temperature or something.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same kind of thing. We have to have the data and understand what your goals are. Because it's about you. It's your money, folks. You've worked hard for it. Mm-hmm. And so we want to figure out exactly where you'd like to go. Once we have that number that you tell us and we look at what you've got, again, this whole idea of holistic, working with our clients holistically, we're going to take a look at this and uncover everything you have. Right, and then we're going to decide, all right, do you have enough money to go the distance, right? If you say, Len, I need $100,000 a year, I got to take that and I got to take into account with our planning taxes, inflation, a lot of things I've got to look at because all those are going to think, if you're in the market, there's going to be, you probably have fees. I got to find those fees, what they're charging you, because they'll eat away at your money.
Len, is that number of $1 million for retirement? Does that do it anymore?
No,
do we almost have to double or triple that?
You hear
number?
that all the time, right? Hey, it used to be $1 million, Spike, would go a long way. $1 million today. I mean, think about it.
Not down by this beach.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Not down here.
Where I live.
Yeah, does it? So do we determine it by lifestyle? Do we have to kind of pare down what we want to spend? I thought retirement's what we look forward to.
Well, I mean, again, depends on, what we do. We build a plan that's customized for you, right? But I mean, we have had clients, Spike, that part of the plan was, they had to cut down a little bit, right? A lot of people think that they're going to spend less money in retirement, right? And Deutsche Bank, I believe, did a survey, and they came back that 78% of the retirees said they're spending as much or more in retirement. Now, why do you think that is?
I'm going to say because we've got so many days off, but I also have inflation in the back of my head. Which one?
Every day Saturday.
Or every day is Saturday. Inflation. What about health care?
And again, that's another big one. I mean, my situation with my hip and my back. I mean, airborne ranger.
Yeah.
I've jumped out of airplanes, 6-degree black belt.
Perfectly good airplanes.
Right, really stupid, huh? But no, I beat my body
That was
up.
to serve our country, sir, and we thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. But that, my body's been through some stuff, right? But no, as we get older, obviously, we age and joints need to be replaced and things. But you're right, absolutely. We got to take into account health care. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
That is so
another
important.
one of those big numbers.
It is.
And Speaking of this number, we've mentioned it before. I want to go back to it again. Was this 4%? The 4%. So let's say you have determined that this money that you've saved is enough for your lifestyle. Okay. So do you just turn on an automatic 4%?
Well, that's interesting. You know, we talked about the risk coming down that mountain, right? One of them is exactly what you're talking about here, is how much do I withdraw? Okay, and where do I withdraw it from?
Yeah.
Two really important questions, believe it or not. But the 4% rule came up, I think it was Bill Bengen,
BB, let's just call him that.
BB back in
WB, however.
90s or whatever, I think. He ended up, I think he got a Nobel Prize for this. But what he did was he took and looked at a 60-40% portfolio. So if you had 60% in the market, 40% in bonds and something that was fairly safe, that you would have enough money. If you took 4% out, you would have enough money to last the rest of your lifetime. Well, think about it. He did this study back in the 90s, late 80s,
yeah.
90s. I think it was the 90s. But I mean, think about it. Where have we gone? Where are we at now? Do you think those same parameters are going to still work?
He even gave an amendment recently. I think it was about a year ago. He said, by the way, this 4% rule works except in high inflationary times.
Absolutely.
And what have we been in?
What have we? It's crazy. Yeah. Matter of fact, now what they're saying, I saw a study by one of the financial magazines. Now I can't remember which one, but it basically said you're probably going to have to take 2.8 to 3%. You know, is now the number. So what does that mean? That means you got to spend. Yeah.
That means cutting back on the lifestyle. But that's exactly the opposite of what you and Art and your team try to design. Is not having to cut back on your lifestyle. In fact, needing and getting raises for yourself throughout retirement, not just the cost of living adjustment on Social Security, but through tools that actually can increase over time?
That's right, absolutely. We do have tools that do that, and we want to, again, a holistic approach to what is customized for each family. But yeah, that's exactly right. We're going to look at some tools that we have that are kind of unprecedented. They're a little bit different, but
right.
They work.
One of the tools is also right here, Way of the Financial Warrior.
That's from my martial arts background.
That's from his martial arts background. Come on into the office, wear a helmet though. He'll show you some of the moves. Make sure you move fast, because so does Len. You get a complimentary copy of the book for you when you make an appointment to come in. Call the phone number at the bottom of the screen to get your own complimentary review from Len Strickler of the LS Financial Group. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week.